You don't get discouraged first time out. You don't get discouraged, when disappointment happens one time. When disappointment happens again and again over a extended period of time, that's when you can fall into discouragement. And discouragement is a loss of confidence, a loss of enthusiasm, to be dispirited, to lose the force of life, the spirit that has been driving your life thus far. To lose that is discouragement. Hopelessness sets in. Again, you may not do something drastic, but you will certainly take yourself out of the fight of life. You'll take yourself out of the race of life. And that's a very, very sad thing. So we want to avoid discouragement. You can deal with disappointment, but once it gets to the level of discouragement, it's much, much more difficult to deal with. But what if you are close to that level right now? What if that's where you're at right now? You are in a state of discouragement. Well, climbing out of that is essentially a reversal of the way you got into it. You got into it by disappointment, okay? And so to invert that and, take the process backwards, you're going to have to start working your way out by victories and by principles. So as we've been talking all this week, you've got to fall in love with the absolutes, fall in love with the principles. Well, it's going to be the same thing. If you are trapped in discouragement right now, you've got to start going back and reading up on the absolutes. So I would direct you towards anything that would focus on absolutes. Now, it's good to meditate upon these things, but it's good also to be informed of them. So anything that deals with absolute truth, and that can come in any form. It can come reading about history. It can come, reading about principles that govern diet or whatever. The more you focus on things that you know are true. So, for example, if I was to say, if you spend less money this year than you earn, and you put 10% of the money that you earn into a savings account with each paycheck, at the end of the year, you're going to make more money than you ever have. Do I need to bring someone out to testify to that? Do I need to say, now here's John and Nancy to tell you how spending less money than they earn and saving 10% made them more money? No, I don't need to do that, do I? Why? Because it's true in the very words that I say, is it not? If I say if you burn more calories each day than you consume, you are going to lose weight. Do I need to bring someone in to testify to that? Or do you just know it based on what I say? So in finances, in relationships, in personal development, in fitness, nutrition, whatever it may be, these are all principle-based. Now, it's hard for me to find someone who is genuinely discouraged that does a lot of nonfiction reading of these type of things. When I usually find someone who's totally discouraged, I don't find a reader. If they do read, they read novels. But if you're reading a lot of principle-based books on, improving yourself or your business or whatever, then I'm going to find someone who probably is not going to get discouraged. They may get disappointed, but they won't get discouraged. Why? Because their head is too filled with absolutes. So the first thing I would do if you are in that place of discouragement is start reading. You can watch stuff and you can listen to stuff, and that's awesome too. But there's something in our brains about reading, and it does something to us. So I would encourage you to start reading nonfiction books that have to do with the improvement of the main areas of life: relationships, finances, anything related to your job or career, health and nutrition. If you can focus on those areas, and just start reading. Don't have to be big books, just get started. Practical stuff you can pick off right off the shelf. Just start doing that, because it'll start to fuel that part of you that is not looking at your circumstances. And that will begin to strengthen you. It will, I promise you. It will begin to strengthen you. And as soon as you can, in whatever those things that you're reading about, if you can start to apply them consistently and start to get some little victories, some little achievements, little bits of good news for your weary soul, you will start to climb out of discouragement, because you got into discouragement by multiple defeats, multiple disappointments. You're going to get out the reverse way by building yourself up, by getting little achievements. And that's great, man, because you don't have to do anything super great, not at the outset. So if, you're trying to transform something in your body, for example, and you can lose that first, 2 or 3 pounds, is that going to encourage you to give up, or is that going to encourage you to continue? Well, it's going to encourage you to continue. So if what you're reading and learning based on these principles is being put into play and you're starting to get some little results, boom. If you feel like you're not confident in yourself and you don't have self-discipline, then let's do something very simple for now. Even if it's as simple as this, just say, you know what? Every morning when I wake up, I will not leave my house for work or school or go about my day until I make my bed. To some people, they won't do that. They'll just get out of it and they leave it like it is. If it's something as simple as that, I'm just going to make my bed. Or you say to yourself, you know what? Every night before I go to bed, I'm going to close out my kitchen. When I used to work in the service industry, you would have closing, right? Just because the customers are all gone doesn't mean you get to go home. We have to close the restaurant. Closing the restaurant didn't mean just closing the doors. It meant cleaning everything up, vacuuming, wiping everything down, putting everything away, making that place look spit spot so the staff in the morning can come and start the day right, not finding a mess. So you had to close out the restaurant, close out the dining room, close out the kitchen. So everything had to be put up, and we'd wipe down chairs, put the chairs on the table and vacuum everything and what have you. So you just say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I don't go to bed every night with a single dish in that sink. My counters are going to be wiped down. My dishes are going to be in the dishwasher or wherever. I'm just going to wipe everything down, straighten the chairs, make sure the floor is clean. That's it. Nothing more than that. You do that for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And you're going to be surprised how these little victories, you say, you know what? Life is just this way. If I can clean this stupid kitchen, then I can keep my diet. If I can keep my diet, then I can get that job I've always wanted. You've just got to start giving yourself that good news. You've got to start, again, gleaning the principles, reading, understanding, learning, and then doing these little things to bring some little results, some little achievements in your life, and doing them consistently. They're not radical. I'm not asking you to lose 100 pounds. I'm not asking you to start, a multi-million-dollar business. I'm not giving you anything too big. These are just little things to start to rebuild that confidence, start to rebuild and bring you back out of discouragement so that discouragement doesn't have to take you out. Your spirit, again, that energy, that life, that passion will be restored, and you'll start getting back and finding your life again, finding your footing again. And man, that's what we need. We got to keep you in the fight. We got to keep you here at the helm, steering your life, navigating your way through the tumultuous life. And so that hopefully you can be an example to somebody else. You can encourage somebody else. You can build up somebody else and pull them out of discouragement because you've lived it firsthand. You've done it yourself. Can you dig it? I hope you can.